Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Leap to Success podcast, where we highlight incredible women entrepreneurs who are taking bold leaps in their business and life. I'm your host, Mary Gaul, and I believe that success is built through connection, contribution, and celebration. Each episode, we bring you inspiring stories, expert insights, and actionable strategies to help you grow and thrive as an entrepreneur. Let's dive into today's conversation. I am so honored to introduce you to Stacy Weber. She is a transformative, intuitive coach, and she uses those skills to help business owners just really thrive. So I can't wait to dive in with you today into our conversation. Stacy, tell our listeners kind of your story and what makes you so awesome.
Well, and I think it's similar to your background where you came from corporate, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I too did that. I was in outside sales management and training for about 25 years. Started as a very green outside sales rep. Didn't know what I was doing. I thought, I'm going to make money, and it was straight commission. So if anybody's done
Yeah.
straight commission, you know that you got to do it.
You got to do it. Yes.
Right. And so little did I know, it was 20 cold calls a day. So, I mean, if anybody says, oh my gosh, sales, I'm like, I understand that. And so I
Yeah.
went from nothing to, just building my confidence and learning from really great people. Like, I was so blessed that I had training, and because it is a skill, it is a mindset.
Yes.
There is so much to do when you're selling, to have that confidence walking in the door when they don't know you, they don't know your product, and how do you deliver that with authenticity? And so I moved up the ranks. I oversaw at the very end of my corporate career 3 states, like 60 salespeople, 6 regional managers, and I really loved helping people grow. Like, that was what was calling me, and I loved.
Yeah.
However, at the end, my company got sold a few times, and I wasn't part of the process anymore. I was like just towing the line, and I felt I had lost myself. Honestly, I was like, who is Stacy anymore? I just didn't know. And so I started to decide I'm going to, move out of this and start my own thing. And so what part of me was saying is like, I don't even know how to make myself happy anymore. So I decided
Right.
life coaching certification while I was still there. And I'll tell you that last year that I was at corporate, I was the happiest I've ever been. I made the most money. I was like, oh my gosh, now I have the tools to help myself. I can help other people that are feeling the same way to take a leap, to do something,
Yeah.
to listen to the calling inside you that's saying there's more to be done. And so that's when I started my company, True You Consulting. And that's why I call it True You, because I want people to go, this is me. This,
Yeah.
nobody else. This is what's calling me to do in the world.
I love that. I love that. And, people go to your LinkedIn, we'll have your LinkedIn profile. So if you're listening, finish listening to the episode. But when you go to Stacy's LinkedIn, she has this quote on there that I just love, this quote. So the key to reaching your full potential is knowing who you truly are. Powerful, right? So we are powerful, and we call this leap to success, and every leap doesn't always end in success, but
Yes.
we have to take the leap to know if we're going to be successful or not, right? And some people
Right.
never take that leap. They stay in that corporate situation, like you mentioned, kind of after so many sales, you're kind of just like a cog in the wheel, and you're not really doing the
Exactly.
things you loved at one point. So how can you talk to our listeners about really getting up the courage to discover who they are and what kind of leap to take?
Well, um, this when this happened to me, I was like, there was people saying, "Oh, well, you can do this, Stacy. Like, keep doing the same thing." And I was
Yeah,
in my heart was saying, I can't do this the rest of my career. I cannot stay in something where I'm stagnant and just with no growth. And I'm sure
yeah,
you probably felt that before, where I was like, I'm not growing. I'm just dead inside, right? And so
yeah,
to take that leap is like, listen, like it's calling you. And that calling, when you know it's something to do, it keeps calling you, like it doesn't
Yes. Yeah.
stop. And so you want to listen to that calling, and it's getting quiet. I mean, I took time to think about, what do I truly want to do? What's going to light me up? What's going to make me want to get up in the morning and do that? Because as an entrepreneur, Mary, it's not just all woo woo,
Right. Right.
work that needs to be done, but when it's something that you're passionate about, that is going to help people, of something of service, whatever it's a product or a service, doesn't matter, something that will make a difference in people's lives, then that's when okay, this is in alignment with who I am and also serves others. I mean, to me,
Yes.
that's what you want to really think about.
Yes, yes. And getting to love what you do. I
Mm.
talked to my husband this morning and I said, what are your plans for the day? And he told me his plans. He's like, how does your day look? And I said, I'm going to be on Zoom all day. My first client calls at 8, and then I've got networking, and then I've got another client call, and then I've got another networking, and then I've got 3 podcasts, and then a coaching call. And his eyes just like bulge out. He's like, oh my God, that sounds miserable. I was like, I am so excited. I love everyone that I get to talk to
Yeah.
today. It's a full day on Zoom and coaching, but I love what I do. And that makes such a difference, right? They're long days, but they're fulfilling days. And really
Yes.
being able to do something that fulfills you and brings you joy is such a I wish I could say it wasn't a rarity, but I think it is a rarity. I think there's so many
Um,
people out there doing work that doesn't necessarily bring them joy. That's why
yeah.
I'm so excited for people to learn more about what you do and how you can help them get to that point, right? Because, as a business coach, I can help them with the tactical things and what do they need to be doing. And there's some mindset stuff that I work on, but they really need people like you to really help us understand what's happening on the inside of us before we can do the exterior build the business kind of tactic
Oh my
things, right?
gosh.
So
It's so
yeah.
funny. It's not by chance. I always say conversations always go the right way, where they're supposed
Yes.
to go, right? And I was just thinking about that. So this is what I've learned, because I've gone through going to, being a corporate and then starting my own business, and that what comes outside, what you create outside starts in here. And if
Mm-hmm.
there are blocks or beliefs or disappointments or failures that you continue to bring into what you're doing next, you're stopping yourself. Like
Yeah.
there'll be a stopgap. And so what I do, so much of what I do is about the internal work. Like, let's think about, how are you feeling inside? Are you
Yeah.
excited about life? I mean, I was just talking to someone that just joined me for a group program that I have, and he just couldn't see anything past the negative that is happening. And when you see that, like, everything is not working now, and so
Right.
really you have to go, what do I want? And really look at the limitations you put on yourself to not allowing yourself to have what's going to light you up. And even if they
Yes.
go, well, it's well, I don't have enough money, or I'm not in the right place, it's like there is a way to step forward. The path
Mm-hmm.
could be just one baby step. And what I find is, if you can get in alignment with the feeling that you truly want to have, that feeling of joy or excitement or success, peace, freedom, you get into that, now all of a sudden the pieces start coming together. Resources, like people like you. Oh, I need help with my business. Oh my gosh, Mary, let me connect you to Mary, right?
Yeah.
That's when, like, connecting with people and networking or whatever is so important, because once you can get
Yes.
in that alignment of what you want to feel like, that's when the magic happens.
Yes. Yeah. And it will seem, coincidental or random. It's like,
Yes,
oh, I just had this conversation and now I'm meeting this
yes,
person and they need to meet this person and I can connect them, right? It's just amazing how when you are open to receiving those experiences and the people that come into your life, the
yeah.
knowledge, right? Then it's just a no-brainer to be able to provide that connection to people. I just did a podcast with Colleen Biggs, right?
Oh,
Who that's how we know each other. Stacy and I know
right.
each other through the Leap for Ladies community. And we talked a lot about your network is your net worth, right? Which is one of the big platforms that she speaks about. And it is so true, but if you're not in alignment with who you are and how you want to show up authentically,
Yes.
then it's harder for you to see those amazing connections that are popping up for you, right? And to be able to connect to other people and give to other people so that you can receive when it's time for them to connect you to somebody, right? So
Yeah.
I just love the work you do because it's so important, and so many of us get in our own way all the
Mm.
time, and we need people like you to help us just kind of wipe the lens clean so that we can see clearly, right?
Or even just let's look at this a little differently, because a big part of what I do is I talk about, well, we look at our lives as bad and good, right?
Yeah.
Like, this was a bad experience, this was a good experience. But what if we looked at every experience was for us?
Yes. Yes.
How different would we view the world, and view our other people's lives, all those things differently, and look at them? It's like, okay, so what is this trying to help me to do? Like, I honestly, I got fired before I jumped out of corporate. Like, I wanted to leave, but I didn't want to leave that way.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I mean? So, and a lot of people don't know that actually happened. And but that's when I went, okay, it's moving me forward. It was time for me
Right.
to go. And so, like, just in the last year, I got diagnosed with the autoimmune disease, and I could have gone, oh my gosh, why is this happening? And I was like, okay, there's a gift here. There's something
Yeah.
I'm supposed to get from this. And I'll tell you, it's been not an easy year, but it's been a transformational year for me to really see things in a different light, to look at my life and my business differently, so it would be in more alignment now than bringing
Yeah.
in corporate. See, I had brought that in, and now I'm like,
Right.
I'm gonna do this differently. I hope that all makes sense, what I just
It
said.
does. It does. It makes perfect sense. And I love that was a big shift for me when I learned that concept of what if life is not happening to you, it's happening for you, right?
Mhm.
And it took me several years to really embrace that concept. But once you do,
Oh,
then anything that happens, you can turn it into a positive spin, right? And sometimes that gets a little annoying for my friends and family because I always can find a positive in something and they just want to kind of complain about things or whatever. And so I allow a little of that, but then I'm like, well, look, here's what the positive side could be. And they're just like rolling my eye. I'm thinking of my two daughters in their 20s. They kind of roll their eyes at me sometimes because I'm always like, well, look at it this way, and let's shift that perspective. And I think,
exactly.
but I think there's so much negative information coming
Mhm.
at us, in the news and social
Oh, yeah.
media and all these platforms. And so it's
Yeah.
easy to buy into that. Like, oh, this is a bad thing, or this is happening to you and you have no control over it, right? But we may not have control of the situation, or like an autoimmune disease, right? You may not have some control over that, but how you react to it is everything, right? And
Mhm.
so if you react to it like, what is the gift? What's the lesson I can learn from this struggle? It doesn't ease all of the struggle all the time, but shifting it around can really make such a big difference in how you move through that problem, right? Or that issue. So it's such a powerful gift that you can give to people when you help them to understand that and really live that in alignment with that principle.
Yeah, yeah. It's a shift, and it
It
takes
is.
practice. It takes practice because we're such habitual beings. I mean, we are
Mm-hmm.
made to be habitual. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to function, because think about all the things naturally that our body does for us, the way we think. We just automatically do it because that serves us. But what if we
Mm-hmm.
had to think of, I have to brush, I have to pick up this pencil, I have to brush
Right.
my teeth. What do I do? Like, we
I
don't
have to
have to
blink my
think.
eyes. I have to take a breath. It's like too
Exactly.
much.
But that also comes with our thoughts and our
Yes.
feelings and reactions to things. And so it takes time to, like, be able to pause and go, no, I'm not going to react to that.
Mm-hmm.
No, because we're so inundated. And like I don't watch the news that much because of the
Either.
right now, because it could turn you like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. In fact, that just happened to us. We don't have the news on very often,
Yeah.
but my husband had the news on the other day, and within 10 minutes, we found ourselves kind of bickering at each other, and we just don't talk to each other like that. It was like, let's turn the news off. This is, even
Yes.
though it was just kind of on in the background, but it was affecting how we were talking to each other and getting kind of hyped up about things that didn't really matter. And I was like, okay, turn the news off. This is not good for us, right? And so just that experiment again, noticing that was really powerful for both of us, is like, oh, that is a lot of negative energy we're allowing into our lives, and we don't need to have that in our world right now.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
yeah, yeah. So,
So right on. So right
yes,
on. Yeah.
yes. Um, so, success, as you know, and I know, right, and our listeners probably know, it isn't just about business, right, and what's in your bank account. I firmly believe that it's about joy and fulfillment as well. So, what is something that truly lights you up in the work that you get to do, Stacy?
Um, it, I guess I'm creating a new program right now that I'm going to launch here in about a month. But what I've been also looking at, because in the last 3 years, I kind of had a spiritual awakening where I was like, started working with angels and doing angel guide readings for people. And I bring that into my regular coaching, my life
Yeah,
coaching and business coaching, because it's another dimension, a spiritual
yeah,
dimension of support. And because of that, I really shifted like my business. And that's one thing I want to tell the listeners. If you are just starting your business and you think, well, this is the way it's going to be,
right.
probably going to change. It's gonna, as you change, so does your business, right? And so in the
Yeah,
year, I've been going, what am I wanting to do? Like, what now is in alignment? Because things the way I did before weren't. And so, what I truly love is working with people in this internal place to bring them more peace and joy and happiness, and not only in their business, but in
yeah,
their personal lives, their relationships. Like, I find I'm talking about people's close relationships, and, because with everything going on outside, what we've been talking about is that can create this, turmoil too with family members and stuff like that. And so I really give people the tools, I think, or a perspective, help them look at
hmm,
different perspectives to guide them to find their own answers, but look at things from their highest self.
yeah.
And what I mean by that, when you're your highest self, you look at how can we all win, right?
Nice.
How
Yes.
can I be happy in this? Like, what would bring me joy today? Like you were saying, like looking at things in a different way, not just I got to get this done, or
Right.
I just fix this, something's going on in my relationship, but how can we look at this person in your life that you love? How can you talk with them differently? How can you lead with love and not like, well, I'm right. Do you want to be,
Right.
or do you want to be happy? Maybe
Yeah, exactly.
just like think about how relationships really make a difference in our lives. If our relationships are flowing, doesn't everything flow in your life, right?
Yeah.
And so I find that work really lights me up to help people see their person that they love, that you can have great conversations, that you can have this loving conversation and come to the middle. Like you can have more joy, have a relationship with yourself.
Yes.
How is your
Yes.
relationship with yourself? Are you loving yourself? Are you giving yourself grace when there's a disappointment, when you worked really hard and then you're so hard on yourself, like just saying, I'm going to give myself grace today. Maybe I'll just go for a walk this afternoon. Maybe I'm, going to do something for myself to where you're going, you know what? I love you.
Yeah.
And when you
Yeah.
do that, that's when the energy comes back, the joy comes back. When you go, you know what? It's okay. Aren't
Yeah.
aren't we human? And
Yes.
yet we
Yes.
we see we see ourselves as this superhuman, like they can do all the to-do
Right.
list, the list that goes on and on.
Yes.
to get it done.
No
So,
mistakes, no anything.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
But that's when things start flowing again. That's when business starts working, when you take care of yourself and you look at things at a different perspective on how can I make this the highest and best for everyone.
Yeah. I love it. I
So
love it.
that's
That's
the
such
work I
great
love to
advice.
do. Yeah.
Good, good. Um, Again, listeners that are out there that are maybe in the corporate job that are not feeling fulfilled anymore in that role, or maybe they're going to be let go or, downsized or whatever, right? So if they're looking at what is their next step, what is the leap, if they're ready to take that leap, what kind of advice would you give to them to just really do some introspection and be ready to take that leap?
Um, I'm big on meditation. I think taking that quiet time uh,
Mm-hmm.
to really write down, like just take time just to breathe. Breathe in your nose and out your mouth and go into your heart
Mm-hmm.
and ask your soul, what do I really want to do? What's the deepest desire that I have here? How do I want
Yeah.
to feel? What would bring me joy? And write down, it doesn't have to be in business, it can be just whatever. What brings me
Right.
joy in general? And what's in my heart that's calling me, whether it's starting my own business, doing a different type of business, something new, going back to
Yeah.
school, any of those things, and writing that down and giving yourself time just to digest that, look at it, and then say, what's one small step I could take?
Right.
It doesn't have to be the big leap right now because I
Right.
got my life coaching certification. I got my personal training license before I left, before I gave
Nice.
notice. And so you don't have to leap. You can just take those baby steps to where you're going, oh, then you start feeling like you're making some progress. Oh my God,
Right.
this is kind of exciting. You know what I mean? And then your life gets better. Then you're happier because you are fulfilling something that's coming through you. The energy
Yes.
coming through you, that soul feeling, that essence of who you are. Yeah, that's what I would say. Baby steps.
Yes. I love it. I love it. So taking that quiet time to
Mhm.
listen to
Yes.
what your soul is speaking to you and what's showing up for you, what does bring you joy.
Mhm.
And I took a class in 2015 about pinnacle productivity, which I now teach that class, but we break time down into different areas, and one of them is personal time. And I was like, well, personal time's when I'm not working or raising my kids or cooking dinner or whatever, right? And so they were like, no, personal time is time dedicated to the
Mhm.
things that bring you joy. And I really had to stop and focus. I was like, what brings me joy? Obviously my family brings me joy, but what brings Mary joy, right? And I had to really spend some time thinking and listening and being quiet about it and saying, okay, what brings me joy and how can I bring more of that in my life? So
Yeah.
I love reading, but I also love community. So I started a book club and we've been together now 8 years, right, in our neighborhood. So we love
Wow,
reading
that's
books and
awesome.
discussing books. And then
Yeah.
I started my on the water networking. I love being around water and on water. And so paddleboarding was coming out. And so,
That's
this is
great.
our 8th season for that too. So, you know, I
Awesome.
get to have conversations and be around people and build communities, but doing things that I love that bring me joy. So it doesn't take a lot to start a book club, right? I had to reach
Yeah.
out to my neighbors, and now we've just read some amazing books and deepened our relationship in the neighborhood, right? So
Yeah.
so but had I not taken the time to take that class to ask myself that question, what brings me joy and what's missing? Like, how am I building joy into my life purposefully and intentionally? Then I don't know that I probably would have just gone on and gone on, right? And so, but I think it's so important to take that moment or those
Yes.
moments and that deep concentration, listen to what brings you joy, and then give yourself permission. That's
Mm.
another piece where we kind of hold ourselves, well, I can't really just form a book club because who might want to do, your head starts going down all the negative, like what if people say no, and what if nobody wants to read a book with me, and what if nobody wants to discuss it, and what if we don't like the same kind of books, there's all that kind of stuff that can go
Yeah.
on in our heads, and so that kind of sometimes can prevent us from taking even that first baby step and reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, do you like to read? Would you like to be in a book club? Just having the
Exactly.
conversation. But sometimes I think we get in our own way because we don't give ourselves permission to say, this is going to make me happy and I deserve to be happy. And so, what kind of steps can I take to make myself happy? Right?
Yeah, no, I love
Yeah.
it. And
Yes.
like you said, it was not just business, it was and so you
Right.
incorporated those things.
Yes. Yeah.
And boom,
I
right?
love it. Yeah.
That's
And it
when the
just,
magic happens.
it
Yeah.
makes me so happy to go paddleboarding every Friday during the summers with people. And for people that come the first time, they're just like, this is the best thing ever. I'm doing this every week, right? Because we get outside, we're in the water, we get some sunshine, and we get to have great conversations with people. So, yes, it's business related, but it's also just community and connection, which that brings me joy, right? So, it's a win-win-win. I love when you said that earlier about creating those win-win-win situations for ourselves and for others, right? So how can we find something that brings us joy, but also might bring other people joy?
Yeah, and it falls in line with what's so needed right now in our
Yes,
world is that community, unity, connection, right? That's what
yes,
keeps us all centered and grounded instead of our out of our head, and in
yes,
our head. Yeah.
yes, exactly, exactly. So what's next for you, Stacy? Any kind of, you mentioned a few things you have coming up, so exciting projects or goals that you're working on?
Yeah, I've like I was saying, I love working with groups and community, and it's very supportive. What Because I just did some kind of market. I just made some calls to clients that have worked with me, and asked them, what do you like about doing groups? And they just feel it's so supportive. You feel like you're not alone. You get great ideas, or you learn from other people sharing, right, what they're experiencing in their life. So, and I've done many groups and I've done retreats. And again, that introspective work is so powerful. So I'm starting a group called Soul Time with Stacy.
Love
And
it.
it's
Love
it's
it.
for group. It could be men and women, but it's a time to pause. It's a time, a couple times a month, to pause and come together in a space that there's no judgment. I create a circle of trust so whatever you share stays within, and that bonds the group, right?
Hmm.
We're to be able to come and say, you know what, I want to speak my voice, I want to share my truth, with no judgment, and to go, this is what's coming up for me, and then be able to give people the tools to really find their own answers, whether that's through meditation, through some spiritual work, through angel cards, because they ask questions, they support, but
Yeah.
go, why don't you think about it from this perspective, right?
Yeah.
This gets you opening up to think of things and to find your own answers. You are so wise. You are the expert
Hmm.
on you. So I just help guide you to get there. So it's a time to do that. And I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping it's not going to be like a ton of people. It's going to be
Yeah.
kind of like 10 to 15 people, to where you get to share and be supported and be able to have those tools to help yourself.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Soul Time with Stacy. Is that what you said the name was?
Yeah.
I love that name. That's a great name
Good.
for a group. Um, and what is the best way for people that are listening to this podcast or watching the podcast for people to get in touch with you? We're going to put all of your contact information in the show notes. But for people that are listening as they're jogging or walking their dogs or whatever, I just want them to be able to hear it as well. So, what's the best way for people to
Sure.
get in touch with you?
Well, I have, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm there. I have lots of videos there as
Mhm.
well. Facebook, it's True You Consulting. That's on Facebook. And then you can reach me on my website, which is TRUYOU Training. .com. So I'd
Okay.
love to connect and, just to sit down and have a conversation, what's going on and what's calling you forward right now. I'd love to have a chat with people about that.
Yes. I love that, love that. And like I said, we've got the information in the show notes so you can find out how to connect with Stacy where you're listening or watching this podcast. So, well, Stacy, it's been such a pleasure today. That is a wrap on today's episode of the Leap to Success podcast.
Thank you
I
so much.
hope that listeners out there found inspiration, motivation, and a few golden nuggets to take with you on your journey. If you loved this conversation, be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode wherever you're listening. If today's guest, Stacy Weber, resonated with you, please show her some love by sharing this episode with your community. Remember, you can find all of Stacy's contact information in the show notes wherever you're listening or watching. If you want to go deeper you can join us in the LEAP community, where you'll find even more resources, connections, and opportunities to show up and grow. You can find out more information on successmagnified.com/leap for ladies to learn more. And until next time, keep taking bold leaps, contributing your gifts, and celebrating your successes.
Yay.
Yay! Thanks again so much, Stacy, for being a guest on the show.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. It was super fun.
Great, great.